Hi, I'm Josh from the Journey Church. We're making our way through Romans Disarmed in order to liberate Paul's letter and our communities in the face of structural oppression. Chapter 4 is Homeless in Rome. In the last video, we considered how empire projects are founded upon the destruction of home. In this chapter, the authors consider that if empire is about creating homelessness, and if Paul's letter to the Romans is about anti-empire, then surely we can expect to find the themes of home, homelessness, and homecoming woven throughout the letter. The promise of home is a recurring theme in the Bible. Abraham is promised a homeland, and this is the promise that the Hebrews hold on to while in slavery in Egypt. This promise was always reaffirmed in the shadow of successive empires. By the time Jesus comes on the scene, exile has become a permanent state of affairs. The authors go through the letter of Romans considering its reflections on this theme, so I'll just touch on a few. Paul's emphasis on inclusivity is abounding. A home built on grace cannot be quick to exclude those considered unworthy or unclean. This is a household made to embrace sinners. Who else is going to be a member? God's reconciling work begins before we get involved. This is a home of reconciliation, not enmity. Forgiving welcome, not judgmental exclusion. Love, not anger. This is something genuinely worth boasting about in the face of the empire's alternatives. Who is excluded in such a community? Well, when the good news is about a welcome and an embrace of all people, those that are excluded in such good news are those who do not want a home life that embraces all people. It grieves Paul so much that for so many of his fellow Judeans, the homecoming that they have been waiting for is here, and they are on the outside looking in because they reject its encompassing inclusivity. So Paul takes great pains to embrace a diversity of faithful expressions of gospel life. He repeatedly emphasizes welcome and warns people away from judging others. Who are you to pass judgment? Why do you pass judgment? Let us therefore no longer pass judgment. Our purpose is to build our neighbour up so that we may with one voice glorify God. But this isn't an inclusion for the purpose of naive pluralism. Rather, this is how we affirm Jesus' Lordship over the community. So by submitting to people that we have serious disagreements with, we emphasise Jesus' Lordship, not our own. Rachel Tulloch says it this way: there is a dying involved here. It is fascinating how Paul moves so quickly from a discussion of church disagreements to talking about living and dying for the Lord. Embracing even those I am fully convinced are wrong on some things is just an extension of the embrace of the one who gave himself for those who rejected him. In an empire that is ruining people's homes with systems of shame and honour, status and persecution, Paul is longing to create a home for people in which the tyranny of Roman order is thoroughly undermined by the power of love, commitment and submission under the Lordship of Christ. Indeed, if we cannot submit to brothers and sisters with whom we disagree, how ready will we be to submit to persecution when the empire brings the sword against our way of life? A home built on grace will suffer at the hands of those who cannot comprehend such grace. For Paul, inaugurating the kingdom of God means following in the suffering footsteps of Jesus, who went before us, crushing the violent power of empire with our own lovingly given bodies. Creating a home for all in an empire for some is no picnic.